say from the outset that, in fact, the entire Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Board is here in Kenora, and I'm headed there shortly to pour over project approvals, which I'm sure excites a number of people in here. I wanted to bring them out in winter, or transition into winter. They've been here in the past during the summer, but I wanted the board to see us at our best when we start to hunker down for the cold season, which is upon us. And I know you have other obligations, so I'll just get to it. I'm joined this morning in particular by a good friend in the mayor of Dryden. Greg, thanks for coming down here today. Greg very shortly will understand the importance of his presence here. But we're gathered here today to do a couple things. One, to give credit to the District Service Board for KDSB for the work, partnership and relationship with Henry that we've had. It's been great. In provincial politics, there's a lot more contact, and we've been able to break through on a number of amazing projects and rally behind them here in Kenora and for the region. But today's announcement has two critical aspects to it. I'm going to start with one, and rather unusually for me, invite other folks to say a few words on peace. Look, the bottom line here is we're here to announce, in the first instance, increased investments into healthcare. For all that you hear, make no mistake about it, that we made a conscious choice in the balance of the need for fiscal prudence, one of the highest subnational debts, well, the highest. Obviously, we wanted to make the right choices, and one of those right choices, as a former nurse and somebody involved in healthcare across this region, to ensure that health services programs and the facilities that deliver them had the support that they needed. This manifests itself in the announcement in Phase 4 expansion of downtown Kenora, where there is an additional healthcare facility included in that costing for Indigenous health services. And for the second consecutive year, we're here to increase base funding for our small hospitals. Now, this funding has come to every one of our small hospitals in northwestern Ontario. We're very, very proud of that. These are no small amounts of money, and much like the municipal support, Greg, that we gave for small municipalities to fight the good fight, our budget ensured that 66 small-sized hospitals would receive an increase in their base funding to the tune of 1.5% to 2%. And so I'm delighted today to announce an additional $185,000 for the Dryden Regional Health Centre. This is a magnificent facility for anybody that's been there. Earlier in the year, we announced funding for a hospice bed in there, which was much needed and much appreciated for families. A very, very difficult time in their lives to have the quality environment that they richly deserve. In addition to that, there is $292,000 for Lake of the Woods District Hospital. And I know Ray and Cheryl, speaking to them on the weekend, they're busy today at regional meetings, but we're just thrilled to have this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is part of our plan to end hallway healthcare. We will invest $27 billion over the next 10 years in hospital infrastructure projects across Ontario, including adding 3,000 new beds in northwestern Ontario. We're taking a hard look at how to do that. We face different challenges than other parts of the province, but we believe as the Ontario health teams start to become more regionally based, and proudly one here for our district, that our marching orders won't come from Thunder Bay as much, and will reflect our priorities and our needs moving forward. So I wonder if I might just, in invite Greg to come up and say a few words on that, and we'll get back into the other part of the announcement. Greg? Oh, okay. That's all right. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Greg was on the spot. All right, so so Wendy, if you could come here, there's Wendy. Yeah, thank you, and say a few words on behalf of the hospital today. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Wendy Rickford. I'm the board chair for the hospital. Cheryl and we were unable to attend today because we had another commitment and they couldn't get it rearranged. But we are very grateful for this. It's nice to see that we're headed in the right direction. We've struggled for years, which is no surprise to anybody. This will definitely be helpful to us, and we are thankful, especially as we move through planning the new hospital and new healthcare system, and being part of the Ontario health team that has been approved to move to the second stage. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it very much. Yeah. Okay, I'm back on track here. I don't often use a lot of my notes, even though I appreciate the work that goes into it. But to Wendy's comments, we've been working very closely with Ray and Cheryl in particular and the board. We'd like to see the infrastructure in Kenora move forward, especially now that they're lock, stock, and barrel with the All Nations concept and working closely with healthcare providers, with especially Kenora Chiefs Advisory, and get this on track a little sooner, hopefully, than had been originally planned. I'd like to invite Doreen to come forward and say a few words. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you.
Hi, so I'm Doreen Armstrong-Ross. I'm the CEO of Dryden Regional Health Centre. So Dryden Regional Health Centre certainly appreciates the government's acknowledgement of both increasing financial pressures and system demands facing small, rural, and northern hospitals. It takes all healthcare partners to combat hallway medicine, and the government's support for our health centres demonstrates the key role for alleviating those pressures in the system. Their ongoing financial support through this additional funding will help to continue providing safe and timely care close to home. Thank you.
It's always helpful to, I think oftentimes folks appreciate the fact that you have a former nurse as a politician. We've been able to work extraordinarily well with all of the hospitals to address service program and infrastructure upgrades. And just for an update, down in Fort Francis, we've been able to break through on their long-term care facility and get that back on track for the benefit of community residents. We've made a couple of infrastructure announcements, and as I said earlier, our second consecutive increase in base funding, which is additional increased investments in healthcare. If I could just pivot this morning then, colleagues, I want to talk about frontline services, and I want to give a huge shout out for Northwest EMS for hosting us just a couple of weeks ago. The Premier was here, and it was an exciting time, and we had a fantastic event here with every frontline service group that you could think about, but most notably our EMS team. And I'm delighted to be here today to announce some incremental funding for the Kenora District Services Board and the Land Ambulance Program. Now, as we all know, this is under an incredible amount of pressure. And today I'm announcing an additional, so increased, increased funding in health here in Kenora, $1.4 million additional funds for the support of land ambulance services. Congratulations to Northwest EMS. Credit is due, Henry. We worked together on this, and you were an extraordinary advocate on the ground with your team and with Northwest EMS to understand the additional support for the paramedic crews who are there 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. This funding will benefit all communities in the region. It's designed to alleviate pressures to call in crews from other communities when demands increase. This is a nimble organization that has demonstrated year in and year out an incredible opportunity to get to our communities near and far when an emergency situation arrives. I know I am particularly grateful and appreciative of the work that our first responders do, in particular land ambulance teams. As a former nurse in the isolated parts of northwestern Ontario, I work very closely with these teams for the safe transfer of people, often in need of critical healthcare services from our towns and cities. So thank you for the work that you do, and in particular, as I said earlier, Henry, for you helping to champion this cause with me. If I'm not putting you on the spot, could I ask you to come forward and say a few words?
I'm going to put Barry Baltes in our board chair.
You put me on the
Oh,
spot.
Barry!
Yeah.
I said Henry, but Barry, I'm on a roll here.
I'm going to stick to my notes.
I'd be right once.
I'm going to stick to my notes so I don't mess that up. Anyway, thanks. Well, pleasure to be here, everyone, and thank you, Greg, for the announcement today. It's most helpful for our organization. And you covered off a lot of the points that I was going to make, but I'll reiterate a couple of them. So, yeah, the increase in demand for our land ambulance resources has been consistent and constant over the last number of years. We've seen double-digit increases in the number of calls, and it's almost impossible to sustain that. There's many times when our paramedic crews in Sioux Narrows, Nestor Falls, or Ear Falls, or Dryden are responding to 911 calls in Kenora due to some of our other EMS resources being committed. So without additional resources, and I'm talking about the board and our staff, we knew that we would not only see more delays in our ability to respond to 911 calls, but that many of our communities would be left without any emergency medical resources. The board knew that we had to add additional EMS crews here in Kenora, so we approached the Ministry of Health asking for some additional funding, which obviously Greg announced. So we were specifically requesting, though, that our municipalities not be asked to shoulder those costs, and that's why Greg mentioned the $1.4 million will be all coming from the province. Today's announcement is extremely important to the Kenora District Services Board, our paramedic services, and our communities, because the Ministry of Health is making the additional funding part of our base EMS funding. It's designed to limit the financial impact to our municipalities, as we mentioned earlier, and it means that our municipalities are not required to cost share this additional crew. Our region's vast geography and the increasing rates of mental health and addictions makes the work for our employees extremely challenging. And like Greg, I want to take this opportunity to highlight the incredible work that all of our employees do, mainly the paramedics in our area. It's a difficult job, and we definitely very much appreciate their efforts on behalf of all of our citizens. I've said it many times at various staff functions, they do an extremely good job, and the board really appreciates your efforts. I want to recognize and thank Minister Rickford and the Government of Ontario for working with us and working with Henry through these unique challenges that we face in this region. And the funding being announced today is going to make life better for our communities and also make a very difficult job much easier for our paramedics. So again, thank you. I really appreciate
Folks, not much longer, just a couple of closing comments. As I said earlier, for the hospitals, our regional health centers, and for ambulance services, this is additional funding which gives full recognition of the additional pressures they face and the unique demands on there, and without saddling responsibility to the municipalities who are already working under resources that they've fully accounted for in this fiscal year. Finally, I'd like to remind folks at every turn that this is the Ontario taxpayers' money. We appreciate at every turn that the dollars that they pay go back into investments in their communities that make the difference. I sometimes think that when you make these government announcements, and I've seen them done before, it's the government handing out money. It's not actually. It's the fair redistribution of folks who pay taxes, which very much include, I know since I got my latest municipal assessment, I'll talk to Mayor Dan about that, paying our fair share. So it's nice to see this come back to us in the form of services that we demand and that meet our actual needs. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this extraordinary opportunity. I'm Greg Rickford, Member of the Provincial Parliament for the Great Kenora Rainy River Riding, and it's a privilege and honor to serve you today. Congratulations to our frontline workers and everyone involved.